How to make parole in Georgia. This segment I will go over some of the tactics and the things that can be done to assist a person in making parole in the state of Georgia. One of the things that can be done, is that if a person has not already done it, is that as soon as they come into the prison system, they need to pretty much, have a professional to enter information into their file that clarifies the matter as to what was the nature of the crime, what was the true nature of the crime. In essence, to put another spin on what actually happened. For example, I've represented cases where a person was in prison for armed robbery, but we were able to find in the case file that the person was actually the lookout man, supposedly. So once we found out they were stated that they was lookout man, we presented to the parole board that this person was legally blind and had actually a certificate from the state of Georgia stating and affirming that he was legally blind since the age of 5. So there are circumstances and situations that show the ridiculousness of how the parole board has considered a case, or how the courts have considered a case, and the parole board, being laypersons, could actually see it from a commoner's eye and see how that there may have been a miscarriage of justice or a misstatement of facts, and for whatever reasons the court, the public defenders, or the district attorneys failed to allow for certain facts to be presented to the court and for it to be weighed into the person's sentence. Reconsideration for parole: once a person is denied parole, they have within 30 days to submit what's called an application for reconsideration. The form can be acquired, the basic form can be acquired from the counselors, and that form can be filled out and a copy given to the counselors and requested it be sent to the parole board. And I would also request that they would also send a copy to the parole board themselves, stating as to why they feel they should make parole. Now, why they should make parole is something that a person really needs to be trained in, presenting facts to the parole board, because you're co-defended, snitched on you, because the DA had a vendetta, there were some personal relationships or problems between your family and the judge. All these things that go into, there's a conspiracy behind why you're in there. We're not saying it didn't happen, it doesn't exist, but we're saying that pretty much consistently the parole board, they are not very warm on those type of statements and tend to be perceived as pretty much, the person may be a little off their rocker, because it's something that they hear and see so much, so that the way it appears to them is that everybody in the prison system could not have had a conspiracy against them as to why they're in prison. So it's best one to accept responsibility, two to present an application that's based on what they've done, what they're planning on doing once they're released, what type of support system exists for them upon their release. In addition, they need to really have great and stellar institutional conduct. Where one works in the prison system can have a great effect in terms of the likelihood of them actually making parole. If one works as a staff barber, cutting officers and the wardens and hair, they have the opportunity to have personal and close relationships with these people, and as a result of the trust that's employed on them from cutting their hair, relationships have been established that allow them to have a relationship with someone who will speak favorably in their behalf if and when a parole board member were to come to the prison system, or if the opportunity for them to be able to submit information into the inmate's file, if that opportunity presents itself. Another thing that an inmate can be needs to be aware of that could assist them making parole: if they have a job, they should request once a month for their detail officer to do what's called, what's termed a WOPR, Work Performance Incentive Report. That work incentive report can show that this person is a diligent worker. So a person can be working in the prison for years and not know that there's an opportunity to capitalize off all the work they're doing to assist them in making parole. So I'll highly encourage them to ask their supervisor at work, or whoever they work for, whatever the detail they work for, is to submit that information to their counselors, and also to try to encourage the counselors to make sure that information reaches the file. And that information can be uploaded later on to their inmate file, the electronic file, and made available to the parole board and Department of Correction. Next, I would say that keeping their hygienes up, appearing neat and well groomed in prison. This is something that's a little secret that Counselors can do a whopper just on the fact that the inmate has kept a neat locker box and have kept themselves well groomed. So whenever one presents themselves to a counselor, they should present themselves well groomed, unless they're coming from a work detail and they want to show that I do work and thus I'm wet from head to toe because I wash pots and pans in the kitchen, or I'm dirty because I clean the field and cut the lawn, I work on lawn detail, something like that, right? These are some of the things they can do to increase the likelihood of them making parole and actually reduce their security, because once one has their security reduced, there's a likelihood that one can go to a prison, or the counselors on the lower levels of prisons, they tend to be more liberal in terms of allowing inmates to make parole through them, and or receiving favorable recommendations through the warden for the warden to sign off for that person to be able to make parole. Further, I would say one of the things that a person can do is to garner up and do research and have family members to put together reports and recommendations from anyone who has political clout. So in essence, if you're a family member who worked on a political campaign, it's not uncommon that I see some cases where the family members have had state representative to submit a report and a recommendation or request to the parole board, requesting that the parolee or the person have an opportunity to prove themselves, minimally send them to a halfway house so they can prove themselves. These are some of the things that one can do. If a family member feels that this is something that's a bit much for them, you can contact us and we can assist you in making arrangements to have favorable information presented to the parole board in your loved one's favor. The form that the inmate presents to the parole board doesn't have to be on a special form, but they do have a form that's specific, that is the standard operating procedures form. But according to the parole board, they say that there's no specific form that one has to use to submit a petition for reconsideration for parole or correcting the set-off. The parole review process is a process that is supposed to pretty much will be an open file process, a file that information can be added to. Now, unless it's something that's ridiculous, unprofessional, sloppy, will they discard the information. So we say that it highly behooves one to make sure that if they are denied parole, that you immediately request the counselors to provide you with an application for consideration for parole. And this information I'm providing to you because I'm sure the inmates cannot see this, but for you to relate to your loved one how they can assist themselves in making parole. Thank you again for watching another one of our videos. Again, you can contact us at the parole advocates at gmail.com, or you can call us at 404-855-4569. Thank you in advance.